Imagine waking up one morning and looking at the sky, only to find not one, but two suns blazing above the horizon. At first, it would feel like a miracle. Days would become brighter than anything humans have ever experienced. Shadows would split into two directions, as if reality itself had been duplicated. But very quickly, this beauty would turn into chaos. With two suns, Earth's temperature would rise dramatically. Some regions would become unbearable deserts, where rivers dry up and soil cracks under constant heat. Ice at the poles would melt much faster, causing sea levels to rise and reshape entire continents. Coastal cities could slowly disappear beneath the waves. But the impact would not stop with the environment. Agriculture would struggle to survive under unpredictable heat cycles. Crops that once fed billions might fail, leading to global food shortages. Animals would migrate or vanish as ecosystems collapse and adapt too quickly to survive. Even time as we know it would feel different. With two light sources in the sky, nights might become rare or strangely bright, confusing both humans and wildlife that depend on darkness to rest and regulate life. Yet, strangely enough, life might still adapt. New forms of survival could emerge. Humans would build smarter shelters, redesign cities, and learn to live under this double-star system. Evolution would not stop, it would accelerate. But the deeper question remains, would Earth still feel like home, or would it become a planet forever changed, where survival replaces comfort and adaptation replaces peace? Two suns would not just change our sky, they would change everything we are. Extreme brightness and visual changes. Two suns would create brighter days, dual shadows, and a completely altered sky. If Earth suddenly had two suns, the first and most shocking change would be the way the sky itself transforms. The world would no longer experience a single, steady source of light. Instead, there would be severe temperature rise. Earth would heat up significantly, causing deserts to expand and polar ice to melt faster. With two suns in the sky, the most dangerous effect will be the rapid and extreme rise in global temperatures. Earth's climate system is finely balanced around a single sun, so adding another source of energy would disrupt everything. Many regions that are already warm would quickly become unlivable. Deserts would expand into areas that are currently fertile, turning green landscapes into dry, cracked land. Water sources like rivers, lakes, and glaciers would begin to shrink at an alarming rate. The polar ice caps, which help regulate the planet's temperature, would melt much faster, contributing to rising sea levels across the world. As oceans expand, coastal cities and low-lying countries would face constant flooding. Millions of people would be forced to migrate inland, creating overcrowded regions and intense competition for resources like clean water and farmland. Weather patterns would also become unpredictable. Heat waves would last longer, storms would become stronger, and seasonal cycles might begin to break down entirely. Wildlife would suffer deeply under these changes. Many species are adapted to specific temperature ranges and habitats. As those environments disappear, animals would either migrate, adapt, or face extinction. Entire ecosystems could collapse in a short period of time. In such a world, survival would depend on rapid adaptation. Humanity would be forced to redesign cities, agriculture, and energy systems just to cope with a planet that is no longer stable under the pressure of two suns. Environmental destruction, rising sea levels, and climate imbalance would threaten cities, ecosystems, and natural habitats. With two suns influencing Earth, agriculture would become one of the first systems to collapse under pressure. Plants depend on stable cycles of light and darkness to grow properly, but with constant or irregular sunlight, these cycles would be disrupted. Some crops would receive too much radiation, causing them to dry out before they fully mature, while others might grow too quickly and become weak or nutritionally poor. Staple foods like wheat, rice, and maize could face repeated failures, leading to reduced harvests across the globe. As food production declines, the effects would quickly spread to human societies. Prices of basic food items would rise sharply, making it difficult for many families to afford daily meals. Countries that rely heavily on agriculture would face severe economic instability. This could lead to shortages in markets, panic buying, and unequal distribution of resources. In extreme cases, hunger and malnutrition could become widespread challenges. Farming methods would need to change drastically. Traditional open-field farming might no longer be reliable, forcing people to shift toward controlled environments like indoor vertical farms or advanced greenhouse systems. These new methods would require more technology, energy, and investment, meaning not every region would be able to adapt equally. At the same time, ecosystems that depend on plant life would also be affected. Herbivores would struggle to find enough food, and this imbalance would move up the food chain, threatening predators as well. In a world with two suns, agriculture would no longer be a simple human activity. It would become a fight for survival itself. Food and survival crisis. Agriculture would suffer due to heat stress, leading to crop failures and global food shortages. The presence of two suns would not only reshape nature, but also deeply transform human society, psychology, and daily life. One of the most overlooked effects would be on human sleep and biological rhythms. Our bodies are controlled by circadian cycles that depend on the natural pattern of day and night. If darkness becomes rare, shorter, or irregular due to constant illumination, millions of people would struggle with insomnia, fatigue, and mental stress. Over time, this could increase anxiety, reduce productivity, and affect overall health in ways that ripple through entire populations. Cities would also need to be redesigned. Buildings might require advanced shielding systems to protect people from excessive heat and radiation. Daily life would likely shift toward underground or heavily shaded environments during peak sunlight hours. Outdoor work could become extremely limited, forcing societies to adjust working schedules and infrastructure. Technology would play a critical role in survival. Energy systems might improve due to increased solar power, but this benefit would come alongside the challenge of overheating and equipment failure. Air conditioning, cooling networks, and climate control technologies would become essential rather than optional. Psychologically, humans might feel a constant sense of pressure or unease under the intense brightness of two suns. The sky, once comforting and familiar, would become overwhelming and harsh. Over time, people would adapt, but the emotional relationship with nature would be permanently changed in a world that never truly rests. Human adaptation and change. Despite chaos, humans might adapt by changing lifestyles, building new systems, and evolving to survive in a two-sun world. Even with all the destruction and challenges caused by two suns, humanity would eventually enter a phase of forced adaptation and transformation. Over time, survival would depend not only on technology, but also on how societies reorganize themselves in a completely new planetary reality. Governments would likely prioritize climate engineering, trying to regulate temperature through atmospheric shields, reflective particles, or global cooling systems. Megastructures could be built to protect major cities, turning them into controlled environments separated from the harsh external world. Human culture would also evolve in response to the constant brightness. Art, music, and storytelling would begin to reflect life under a double-star sky, where survival and endurance become central themes. Entire generations would grow up never knowing true darkness, which could change how humans understand rest, fear, and even imagination. Despite the struggle, life would not simply end. It would adapt in unexpected ways. New ecosystems might emerge, with species evolving to handle higher heat and radiation levels. Humanity itself might become more resilient, possibly even genetically or technologically enhanced over long periods. However, even in adaptation, something important would be lost. The natural balance that once defined Earth, the rhythm of day and night, warmth and coolness, comfort and rest, would be gone. In its place would be a permanently intense world, where survival is possible, but the gentle harmony of the original Earth is only a distant memory.